WCEG Network. We are the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community and life into you. Log onto WCEG Watch us live on your smart TV, on the Roku cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Cassandra Wanzo, host of Mind Matters for the next hour. Subscribe free to our YouTube channel, WCEG Network. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Connect with us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Threads. Download our free WCEG mobile apps. Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. Last but not least, our topics and opinions. The topics and opinions are those of the show host and guests, and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. Good evening again, and welcome to Mind Matters, where we discuss relevant mental health issues. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo, a psychiatrist practicing in the Atlanta area for the past 30 years. Our co-host, once again, is the awesome Miss Shavett Athouris. She's been a registered nurse for over 20 years. She has served as an RN case manager at various hospitals and clinics. She's provided psychiatric rehabilitation treatment on assertive community treatment teams and has worked as a director of nursing for well-known agencies. She was a nursing professor for 5 years at a university in Atlanta, Georgia. She is the marketing director with Surge 365 Travel Company. She's the administrative director for a nonprofit where they help develop and mentor youth. You can visit the website at www.theosmovement.org. Welcome, Shavett.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So our topic this evening is very timely. Our topic is coping in these uncertain times. Let me repeat that. Coping in these uncertain times. November 5th, 2024, Election Day. I was in the motherland, Kenya. I was attending a transcultural psychiatric conference hosted by the Black Psychiatrists of America. I had already participated in early voting. Myself, along with others in our group, were shocked and devastated when the election results came in. I was ready. I was wearing my bedazzled Soror President t-shirt. I was all ready for Kamala. We were all, like I said, shocked and devastated. And it was at the beginning of the conference. We just couldn't start the conference on that frame. We felt that although the conference was going to be dealing with the mental health concerns of our people in the diaspora, we felt that we had to foster healing for our own psychic trauma. We as healers needed healing. So what we did, and we had a facilitator who was trained in this, we came together in a healing circle. I don't know if many of you are familiar with that, but that was my first experience with the healing circle. A healing circle is a supportive group setting. It's rooted in ancestral traditions. We call upon the ancestors. We came together and shared our feelings. We listened to each other to promote healing and building of our community. The healing circle allows safety and acceptance in sharing our emotions in a safe and accepting environment. Other principles of a healing circle involve openness, honesty, compassion, respect, sharing, listening, reflecting, and fostering a sense of collective belonging. I mean, I was on cloud nine. It was about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. I mean, I felt so uplifted, so happy. The next 10 days in Kenya were awesome. Then I had to come back home to the United States to the eventual inauguration of 47. In the 64 days since the inauguration of number 47, like I refuse to say his name, we have been on an emotional roller coaster through his policies, instituting Project 2025, which we knew that he was going to do beforehand. He and Doge have fostered chaos and uncertainty. He has managed to alienate allies while strengthening ties with Russia. He has threatened to annex Greenland and Canada. He has threatened to take over the Panama Canal. He has removed all references and programs related to DEI. He has removed any mention of the achievements of African Americans and Native Americans from archives in Arlington Cemetery. He has fired over 100,000 government workers. He's instituted tariffs. I just see he instituted a 25% tariff on cars, which is going to increase the price for the average American. So he's instituting tariffs against Mexico, China, Canada, and we're going to pay for those tariffs. He's dismantled the Department of Education. He's cut off funding for critical medical research. He has precipitated drastic drops in the stock market one day by 1,000 points. He's had ICE round up thousands of people for deportation. He's provided Elon Musk with access to sensitive government information. He's cut millions of dollars in funding to universities. He's cut back on Social Security and IRS services. He reneged on a 1994 agreement to protect Ukraine and is trying to take all of their resources. He's retaliated against law firms and people he doesn't like. He's cut funding to the CDC by the tune of $11 billion. He's attacked the judiciary. He plans to deport Haitians, Cubans, and Venezuelans who were here on a protective status. He has planned the closing of several consulates abroad. He even expelled the South African ambassador. He's canceled $400 million in grants to Columbia University. He's placed the university's Department of Middle Eastern, South Asian, and African Studies departments under academic receivership. He's implemented major cuts in SAMHSA. SAMHSA is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. He's closed offices and reduced staff by 50% at this agency. He's cut $1 billion from SAMHSA. This is SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Agency, which oversees the crisis hotline, the National Crisis Suicide Hotline that we always give the number for, that's involved. They oversee methadone clinics. They oversee all the grants for mental health and addiction services. They oversee drug courts. They're responsible for dealing with drug overdose fatalities. I mean, this is something very serious. He's drastically reduced services at the VA medical center, our veterans who he claims to care about. They are eliminating 80,000 jobs from the VA. Services are already scarce. I've read about psychiatrists who work there are now forced to provide services and do therapy in a cubicle, just like those call centers, a cubicle full of people, like these 13 cubicles in one room, and they're supposed to provide private psychotherapy in these settings. People are quitting and revolting. Veterans are already at high risk in the general population for suicide. I mean, he's a one-person wrecking ball. Do you have any thoughts, Shavett, about what's going on or your reactions to this craziness?
Wow. I mean, I tell you, Doc, just listening to all of that just makes my heart pound and, the anxiety almost starts to go up. But, you know, so much going on as it relates to him. Like you said, we're not going to really call the name or
Mhm,
give the name justice,
mhm.
but it just causes so many different, it can cause health issues,
Yeah,
mentally as well as your physical health, Doc.
exactly. And so let me go over some of those things. Okay. How our brains react to uncertainty. The human brain is programmed to seek predictability and control. So when confronted with uncertainty, it goes into overdrive. During moments of uncertainty, the brain's amygdala, which processes emotions such as fear, becomes extremely active. This increased activity can cause the body's fight or flight response, which releases stress chemicals such as cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones prepare the body to deal with potential threats. But when uncertainty persists, the persistent state of alertness that the body goes into can be very harmful to the body. The part of the brain known as the prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision making and problem solving. It is also important in how we handle uncertainty. When faced with uncertainty and ambiguity, the prefrontal cortex attempts to analyze the situation by evaluating potential risks and outcomes. However, when there's inadequate information, which happens in uncertainty, the brain struggles to make sense of the situation, which increases anxiety and makes judgments more difficulty. How does uncertainty manifest in the body? The physical manifestations of uncertainty can be diverse and often distressing. Common symptoms include muscle tension. Muscle tension is one of the most common physical complaints since the body remains in a constant state of alertness. This stress can cause headaches, neck and back pain, and overall discomfort. Digestive issues. Digestive problems are another common symptom. Many people report stomach aches, nausea, changes in appetite when faced with uncertainty. The stomach, which is known as a second brain, is extremely sensitive to stress and anxiety, making it more vulnerable during periods of uncertainty. Sleeping issues. Sleep disruptions are common physical manifestation of uncertainty. The constant worry and overthinking that accompany uncertainty can make it difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep. This lack of restful sleep can exacerbate feelings of fatigue, irritability, and difficulty concentrating, creating a vicious cycle that further impacts health. What are the mental impacts of uncertainty? Uncertainty can have a profound psychological impact. appearing as increased anxiety and stress. Chronic stress caused by ongoing uncertainty can result in burnout, which is a state of emotional, bodily, and mental weariness. Prolonged uncertainty can also cause or intensify anxiety disorders, resulting in chronic anxiety, panic attacks, and other severe symptoms. Depression is another possible outcome of living with prolonged uncertainty. The persistent uncertainty of what the future holds may drain motivation, leading to feelings of pessimism and powerlessness. Mood problems can also develop, with people suffering mood swings, irritation, or an overall sense of unease. For some, the mental load of uncertainty can be overpowering, resulting in a retreat from social relationships and a lower overall quality of life. Wow, uncertainty.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is. Um, in my practice, I do a private practice on Saturdays. I've been seeing people who've been coming in, since January, who've been affected by all the changes. People are more anxious, having trouble sleeping, and are more depressed. And that's what I'm seeing in my practice. So it is definitely affecting people.
I think we all have been affected in some way or another. And I think all of you listening out there, know other people that have been affected. Who knew that we would be here right now today, right? I
Right,
mean, we kind of thought about, what that would look like as far as depending on who won the presidency, but not really knowing once you get in office what's going to happen. And now we're seeing that, and we're seeing it very early.
right.
I don't know if you mentioned, but did you mention like weight gain or weight loss?
No, I didn't. I didn't mention that, but that's part of, yes, yes.
Because that's another one. Just looking into the research of this,
Mhm.
you may have some weight gain or weight loss, eating more or eating less to cope and to deal with everything.
Exactly.
Or, eating more sugary items or drinking more alcohol or caffeine, more coffee.
Yes.
Just you may not realize it, but just think about, what it is on the dailiness of your life and what
Mhm.
that looks like. You may notice a difference there.
Exactly. I mean, I knew that if he got elected, things would be bad, but somehow I never imagined this scenario. I mean, like I said, he's a human wrecking ball, and the amount of power that he's given to Musk and and Doge is just unbelievable. I'm not sure how this even, being allowed to happen. It just doesn't even seem like it's legal what he's doing, but he's doing what he had proposed in Project 2025. And a lot of people are now having second thoughts and doubting, like a lot of the Hispanic Americans who voted for him. They're having second thoughts as they see their family and friends being, exported, deported. So there are a lot of regrets.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm hearing as well.
Mhm. I saw
You
some,
thought one, like,
right, I saw one panel that had 11 people who had voted for Trump, and out of 11, I think 9 regretted voted for him, but he told them what he was going to do. Kamala told them what he was going to do. They just didn't believe it.
well, we're living it and seeing it right now,
It's like Maya Angelou, her favorite statement, when someone shows you who they are, believe it. And people just didn't believe
and believe it the first time.
it. Exactly. They just, yeah, yeah. So like I said, our brains are wired to seek predictability and control because it's important for our survival as a species. So that's why it's so hard for us to deal with it because we're wired for certainty. So, I don't know. So there are many things that we can do to cope with uncertainty. Would you like to share some of those things, Shavett, what we can do to cope with this?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just thinking about a lot of the things that you're saying,
Mhm.
um, probably like myself, you're being affected in more than one area and more than one way. When I heard about the college, my husband and I have 7 boys together, and
Mhm.
4 are in college right now at the same time. So when he mentioned, cutting funding for college and all of that, it's like, wow, you've got to be kidding me. My mom is on Social Security, who, of course, many of our parents, they worked all their lives and
Mhm.
put so much into Social Security and are now, in retirement, some of our parents,
Mhm.
and that's what they live on. That's what they survive is their Social Security. So just having anxiety, just imagining what that would look like, if that was not happening, if she was not receiving that. So much of what you said is affecting so many of us.
Mhm.
But a couple of things that you can do is you can set boundaries, right? Set boundaries and not watch the news so much,
Mhm.
especially every day, every other second, you can turn on the television and there's going to be talk about this subject right here, whether it's the news, the radio, what have you, the television. So you want to not look at those things as often, kind of take a break from them. You can pick your times throughout the day or the week, say just this day, I'm going to just watch it for this 30 minutes or an hour to get an update. But if you dwell in it and sit there and listen to it 24/7, that's just going to make situations a little bit worse for you. So just try taking a break from all of the noise and the buzz that's out there right now. Another thing that you can do is talk with family members and friends. Have some conversations with people that you know and that you could trust, you don't mind talking to, seeing what their opinions are. I will warn you though, all of us know our relatives, our friends, our circle, and you already know that 1 or 2 people that you may call to have a conversation with, and right off the bat that is going to lead into some type of heated conversation. It's going to be a battle, it's going to end up in an argument. Well, in those situations, just try not calling those people because you
Exactly.
already know how it's you already know how it's going to end up. So just trying to get some things off of your chest, talking it through, might help you. And then another thing that you can do is practice meditation, deep breathing exercise. That is one of the best things that I've found that you can do no matter where you are. You can be on an airplane, you can be at your desk at work, you can be at home, you can be in the bed, you can be in your car. It doesn't matter. To do deep breathing exercises, you can do like 4 to 5 minutes of deep breathing in, holding it, and then deep breathing out. That will do a lot for your brain. It'll do a lot for oxygen to your brain, but it just will help you to get through your day a whole lot better. And you'll see that your thought process will probably be a lot better as well. If you're walking around and your thoughts are clouded and your words are not really coming out the way you want, you're stumbling over your words and you're just needing something, you say to yourself, you know what, let me do some deep breathing exercises. And that will do such a great deal for you. It will help lower your blood pressure as well. You can take it before you do your breathing and then take it after. For those of you that have hypertension, have high blood pressure, you will see a big difference. So that's another thing that you can do is do some different types of meditation. Now, Doc, next one, some people really shy away from seeking professional help, from seeking counseling, from not just talking to family and friends, but talking to a professional. That can really do a lot for you. And maybe for you, the one thing that you've been shying away from for so long, all of your life, saying to yourself mentally that, no, I'll never do that. I'm not crazy. I'm not doing that. That one thing could be the it that you need to get you over that hump, to get you in a space where you're more set and more grounded, and you can make it through a lot better. So try talking to someone else professionally to get that weight off of you into a therapist, the hands of a therapist that can really help tell your strategies on what it is that you need individually, right? They'll be biased. It's kind of different from talking to a family member or friends. But therapists, they're not just there because you're in a crisis situation, but they also can be there to help you be resilient and help you make it through these challenging times. You also can get involved, get involved in your community, channeling that energy into something else, where you can have more of a sense of control. But just try Googling some different community organizations in your area, maybe volunteer somewhere, or just engage in some different agencies or different community organizations that can help you to get past where you are as well. And, if you're somebody that's feeling unhappy, you need directions, things aren't really going the way you want them to go. Maybe you were a part of that 100,000 that was laid off. You don't know what you're going to do. Things seem so gloom. Then hopefully some of this can kind of help you to make it through, being in a better place where you need to be. And you can always go back to the old-fashioned things that you can do for stress and difficult times and overcoming a lot of obstacles that we're facing right now. You can always exercise.
Yes.
Get on a routine. And if you're a person like me that's so busy, you feel like you don't have enough time in the day, really just, I love to tell people, get a monthly calendar, a monthly, not a weekly, and write down the dailiness of your life. You want to write down when you go to church, when you go to Bible study, when you go to take the kids to piano lessons, and the whatever it is that you do, all the organizations you're involved in, when you meet, whether it's a Zoom, whether it's in person, write down each day of the week on a monthly calendar the dailiness of your life. And that's where you're going to see where you actually have realistically a little bit of time for yourself. Because within all of this, you also can do self-care. Okay. But while we're talking about exercising, once you do that monthly calendar, I'm telling you, this will change your life. It changed mine. That's when you can say, okay, I need to kind of get rid of some of this or take a break from something. Or you can see where maybe you say you need to wake up at 6 a.m. and work out for 30 minutes from 6 to 6:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you want to, either work out in your home or you can walk, pick a route and walk in your subdivision or down your street, walk 1 mile. That's about what, 10, 15 minutes or so. I believe it is. But anyway, do that, and that will help a lot. And like we said, taking a break from the television and the news and the radio and all of that. You can also limit social media. I've talked to a couple of people who said, you know what, I'm on a 30-day fast from social media. And it's like, wow, really, how is that going for you? Because we get so, some of us, like, we can't live without social media. We can't live without our phones, and we can't live without social media. But just try taking a break from it, to help you in these times. And another thing, like I talked about a second ago, was making your self-care a priority. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's president or what's going on in the world. And I know that you have a lot going on in your life, but you come first as well. You matter. So if you're stressed out, high blood pressure, whatever it is that's going on, you need to think about what it is that you like to do, and you need to do that at least, I would say, once a week or once every other week. Maybe that's getting a massage. Maybe that's doing something out of the norm that you've never done before. My mother is in her 70s now, and I'll never forget, out of the boys, all the 7 boys we had, one day we decided to go fishing, and she thought that she would never like it. And she was like, ugh, fishing. And believe it or not, the one thing all her life that she stayed away from, she absolutely loves and could do it every single day. So our minds can be very tricky. You think you don't like something, but you can. So think out of the box for your self-care. Think about other things that you might and be interested in doing. And if you want a massage, I'll give you a tip. You can also look for massage schools that are in your area, because massage schools are a lot less expensive than a regular massage parlor. So of course they're students, but the price is a lot more affordable for you, maybe a lot more affordable for you. So if you want to get a massage, think about a massage school. You want to get your nails done, but you can't really afford it now, then think about a nail school, because it'll be a lot less expensive there. So those are just some of the ways, Doc, that I found that can kind of maybe help through these challenging times that we're all living in.
Wow, thank you. Those were so helpful, so helpful. So I don't know how people are feeling out there, if they want to share any thoughts or feelings that we have. I don't know if are there any comments or questions on any of the sites? I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, if anybody wants to share their experiences, I know my brother's in the military, and right away he got a list of directives of things that they had to stop doing and different activities that they had to stop supporting, like Black History Month and things like that. And it's like they're trying to erase us from the history. I mean, we're part of American history, but they want to erase us from
Wow.
history.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't teach a lot in schools. They're kind of stopping some of the Black history that they were teaching in schools, and not really saying that they can't do that anymore.
Right,
So
right.
that's interesting as well. So it's a lot. I think what's overwhelming for so much of us as a country is just so many things are happening all at once.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot is happening like at one time that's affecting all of us in some
I
way.
read somewhere that that's part of the plan for them to overwhelm you, so you're like paralyzed. But that's part of their plan is for you to be to feel overwhelmed that you can't do anything. That's part of their plan. They planned
Mm-hmm.
it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about another one, Doc, is being able to eat nutritious foods
Yes.
is another way to help. Because she talked about not getting enough sleep, but if you're a foodie like me, you love food, you love to eat. And I've noticed myself, I've been personally wanting more sweets and more junk food that I normally don't eat. And it's like, okay, and that's what made me take a look and a step back and say, okay, we let me just change my eating habit. So, you know, that's something that you can try, is try eating, healthy meals
Mhm.
as well.
Right. And
That
the
can help.
exercise, walking, being in contact
Mhm.
with nature, making a list of things that you're grateful for. That helps a lot to be grateful and to make a list
Mhm.
of things that you're grateful. Other things you can do is like journaling, because what journaling does, it helps you to put your thoughts and feelings and provide a healthy outlet for your emotions. It can help you to process the uncertainty and gain a clear perspective. So journaling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always good.
You stress
Yeah.
that self-care is very important. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you said, and taking a break from the news and social media. And there's some people like on Facebook that you may have to just block because of their attitude. So you just may have to block some people on Facebook. I know I've done it.
Yeah, yeah, you may have to.
And I've had to do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Do they have any questions out there? Any comments?
So are there any questions at all in in any of the chats or online links? Let's see, I'm looking on Facebook. Don't see any comments. Well, like normally we give the number for the crisis line. Now that's in jeopardy because that's one of the things, that's funded through SAMHSA, and that's, like I said, they $1 billion is being cut from SAMHSA, which is substance abuse and mental health, at a time when we really, need those services. I'm just scared for what's going to happen with the VA, like I said, because veterans already are at a higher risk for suicide and the lack of services. And I say he claimed to care about the vets, but he obviously doesn't care about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've talked with a couple of psychiatrists who work at the VA, and they just said it is just so stressful working there now. It's just very, very stressful working. They don't know how they can continue. I'm so glad, like when I had interviewed several years ago at the VA, and like to the end of the day, I don't know why I didn't think to ask at the end of the day. This was like years ago when the proper funding was in place, when I asked them, what my caseload would be, and that's when they told me 1,000 patients. So that was years ago. So I wonder what kind of caseload are the people going to have now as psychiatrists. I mean, if it was 1,000 back then, what's it going to be now? 2 or 3,000? How can you really, be expected to actually work with those people? And they said for them to be, in like those offices, like those, where you're selling, and they're going to be there in cubicles trying to have a confidential session with the patient, and it's full of other people talking at the same time. And I don't know how you can deliver adequate
Yeah,
care.
that's not true privacy.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
But
So,
Doc, I must have been knowing you quite some time because
uh,
I do remember that.
are you doing out the interview? At the
I
VA?
remember that.
I went to VA, and then when they told me 1,000 a case of,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was just in shock and disbelief. So if it
Yeah,
was
I do
1,000
remember
back
that.
then with funding, like I said, who knows? They might be expected to be 2 or 3,000. How can you deliver adequate care like that? You can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
that's amazing. I don't even know how.
So I'm
Can't even fathom.
fearful what's going to happen as far as the mental health and substance abuse services, because we have, with the crisis with the fentanyl, and they're cutting out, $1 billion from the agency that deals with those issues. I don't know what's going to happen. What's is this? I mean, I'm just fearful about what's going to happen with the future of this country.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's, back in the day, it seems like there was a time where we had, mental health services. And
Mhm.
then at some point, they said that we couldn't hold people against their will and they can't, live in these places. So they just basically just went to the streets. I mean, and now you have so many homeless people that are out there that need services,
Mhm.
but it's getting worse. It's getting a lot worse as it relates to mental health for sure.
Here's a question: has my caseload increased? Well, what I'll say is people are coming in with more severe symptoms of anxiety, not sleeping. I'm seeing more people who can't sleep, who are anxious all the time, or having panic attacks. So the symptoms, I noticed the same thing happened like during the pandemic. I had people who had more severe symptoms, and now it's a similar kind of situation with people having more severe symptoms. I'd say the severity of symptoms have increased, and I'm having to increase medications that people are taking.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do you treat people who think nothing is wrong? Well, I had one young man who was a number 47 supporter and kept trying to. I said, this is not the place. We're not going to discuss politics here. So I treat him for, what was going on with him. But I said, then we're not going to get into this space. He was like gloating, wanting to gloat, on the fact, I guess, Caucasian American. And I just said, no, we're not going to discuss that here. This is not the forum
Yeah,
to discuss. But he was
yeah.
just trying to like just go to me, get me to. And I said, no, I'm not going to fall for that trap. I'm not going to get into that discussion with you. You can discuss it outside of it. That's not what we're here to
Yeah,
discuss. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm, mhm. It's a,
I was thinking the other day, I said, with 100,000 people being laid off, especially people that are out there that, so many people live paycheck to paycheck. And when that happens, you don't know where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Your whole world is turned upside down. It may have to be where you have to call family members or friends that you may not want to call, maybe someone that you haven't spoken to or you have grudges against, but this is a time where as families we have to,
right.
forgive.
Mhm.
Get those grudges off, forgive, give a phone call to somebody who you haven't spoken to in a long time, because these are trying times and tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
Exactly.
If you're in that situation, take that step. That phone seems like an elephant as far as calling that person, but give them a call and just say, hey, y'all talk about it.
Mhm.
It may have to be a situation where you live with someone you don't want to live with versus being homeless. I mean, these
Mhm.
are like critical decisions that people are having to make right now.
Exactly. And for those who are working, it's going to be tougher. Like when egg prices are what, like $9 for a dozen eggs and things like that. I
Mhm,
mean, wow. It's just,
mhm.
and just imagine trying to be in the job market, trying to find a job now with all of these cuts, $100,000, 100,000 government workers being laid off.
Mhm.
Just,
Well, what was interesting is
mhm,
you fire them,
mhm,
but then when you are told what job duties they had, then
mhm.
you say, oh, wow, well, let's call these couple thousand back to their job. Okay, so why
Right,
do that prematurely?
exactly.
You do that prematurely and now you want to call call them
Right.
back?
I remember there were some people they couldn't reach in different things like aviation safety and um, someone managing the nuclear like when nuclear weapons come into this country, people who were overseeing that were fired. I mean, and remember he fired all these people from the aviation department. Then you had all those plane crashes. I mean, like I said, they've gone in like a wrecking ball with no thought about what they're doing. And I just understand how this person can have access to, and these young guys that he is working for him in the 20s, how they have access to all of this sensitive information, like, our social security numbers and things like that. They have access to that.
Mm-mm.
So.
Just don't understand.
So one thing I have this, like I guess prayer that I have to read every day for me to cope. I'm going to read that. This is what I read every day. I have it on my refrigerator. And this is what it says. It says, God says, I've heard your cries. I can feel your pain. I have not forgotten you. I know you do not understand all that I do and allow, but I am always in control. I alone have all power. Out of your disappointments, pain, and hurt, I will bring great joy. I need you to hold on in these difficult days ahead. Everything is going to be all right. Place your trust in me like never before. Be still and know that I am God.
Wow. Awesome. I love it. I love it. And you say that every day?
Every day I have to. That's the only way I'm able to cope. Every day. And it's on my
Wow.
refrigerator.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I also have some affirmations for, 7 boys alone is enough to,
Mhm,
without the politics of the world.
mhm,
But affirmations for stressful times, and we don't have enough time in the show for this, but the brain is very funny.
mhm,
The brain only hears and knows what you tell it.
mhm,
So like when we're having a rough day and we go, we may wake up and say, wow, the devil is busy today, the enemy is busy today. He's starting out early because things are just happening back to back to back to back. And then we have to say, hold on, wait a minute. We're having a great day. We're having a super fantastic day. All is well. And you kind of flip it and you turn it around. So some of the affirmations for us, as far as like worry, anxiety, and stress, is you can also say to yourself, these are things that you can say daily. You can Google some, but it's a couple of them are, I am grounded, centered, and stable. I am safe and supported. I'm equipped with all the resources I need to walk through this experience with courage and strength. I have everything I need to overcome any obstacle that comes my way. I will not worry about things I cannot control. I have the power to overcome my doubts, my worries, and my fears. Those are just a few. But like I said, the brain only hears what you tell it. So if you speak positive, you speak life, then that's what the brain is going to hear. But if you say to yourself, oh, I'm worried, this is too much, and you keep harping on, all the things that Doc has mentioned that's going on in the world, it's going to put you deeper and deeper into a space where you don't need to be. So to get out of that and pull yourself out of that, you have to speak life to yourself. You have to speak positivity to yourself and do it every day. And they say if you do something for 21 days straight, then that what helps the brain to form it as a habit. So whatever date you start, get a calendar and see if you can do affirmations every day for 21 straight days, and it will become the norm. Anything, not just affirmations, but in life, just as a nugget, something that you can do, exercising for 21 days straight. Whatever it is, do it 21 days straight. And I'm not saying exercise vigorously. It may be a couple of sit-ups today, and it may be something small tomorrow, but to make it a habit to where you do it consistently, it needs to be 21 days straight.
Thank you. So that is the goal of what we do here at WCEG is we try to speak life into you, life. And I hope what we've done over this time, what is not quite an hour, has been helpful for you and that you've got some tidbits, some nuggets that will help you to cope in these times. And I have posted this on Facebook, so I don't know if anybody wants a copy of this, but I have posted it on my own personal page on Facebook if anybody would like a copy of that. So I can
Did
have
anyone,
any to be.
anyone post any questions or have any comments? Did we see any?
I haven't seen any. I'm looking at the Facebook site. No, I'm not seeing any. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank our awesome co-host, Miss Shavett. She's always dynamic and fantastic and always has a lot to share with us and is always so inspirational. So, oh, she wants me to give the helpline information, even though who knows what's going to happen, with um, these cuts. The Suicide Crisis Hotline, which is, I said, governed by SAMHSA, which is being cut by $1 billion. The Suicide Crisis Helpline is 988. Again, it's 988. So I guess it remains to be seen what happens in terms of if workers will be available. So Suicide Crisis Helpline, if you or someone you know is reaching the point where they feel like they can't make it and they want to end their lives, the Suicide Crisis Hotline is available 24/7. And again, that's 988. Okay, thank you for joining us this evening. And we look forward to joining you in our next show, which will be next month.